Right, let's go coast to coast with some action around the association last night. We're going to start in Denver, where the Nuggets, they dominated the Mavs. I love this little entrance, though. Luka finished with 38 points, his 11th straight 30-point game. On the other end, it was the Nuggets bench. They scored 62 points, the most this season. Brian, the Nuggets, still the clear-cut favorites in the West?
Yes,
got to check in.
Yes, but the Clippers are making me think, and boy, wouldn't it be amazing if Luka and Jokic were on the same team?
That's exactly what we saw when we saw them walking in.
They fell in love with each other.
Think that's what they were talking about? Maybe we can get that audio. All right, moving on to the team up a half game on the Nuggets in the West. The Thunder took down the Grizzlies 116-97. SGA 30 points in 3 quarters. Chet Holmgren finished with 7 blocks on his way to becoming the first rookie with 7 blocks in consecutive games since Tim Duncan in '98. Chaney, the ceiling for this young Thunders team?
They can win multiple rounds in the playoffs.
Oh.
I love what they're doing. Shea, first team All-NBA. I mean, Chet, rookie of the year. They've turned the corner.
And last but certainly not least, the West leading Timberwolves. They were down by as many as 17 in this one. Anthony Edwards, he led the way with 32 points, including this turnaround jumper to give the Wolves a 3-point lead with under 30 seconds to play. Zach, what did you take away from Ant's play down the stretch in this one?
Ant is Ant. Ant did what he does down the stretch. But there was something else that made me say, holy bleep, in the way that I sometimes say holy bleep, and it was Karl Anthony Towns. Not long ago, Karl Anthony Towns and Jimmy Butler, it didn't end well. You know Cat had to relish these plays down the stretch. Watch this big boy rebound right over Jimmy Butler's head. Boom. Big boy, and then lob to Rudy Gobert. And look at the point. Look at the Cat point. He's excited. That had to feel cathartic for Karl Anthony Towns after the way their relationship and their time together ended. For him to come up big when Jimmy was guarding him as the primary assignment down the stretch. And you know Jimmy Butler was talking and pushing and shoving and trying to get in Cat's head, and Cat would not have it. Maybe a big moment there. Yeah. For Mr. Towns.
I mean, it could have been. I'm going to have to check with Kendrick Perkins to see whether or not that's daddy ball. Whether or not that falls under that.
I thought you were going to have him say cathartic.
I'm not going to do that to Perk. Speaking of the West standings, do you know what today is, yeah?
What?
The NBA All-Star voting. It begins today. So we're still about 2 months out, but it's never too early, right, to look at who we think is going to end up starting. As a reminder, the All-Star game, it is back to the original format this season. That is East versus West. So we asked our esteemed panelists on our call this morning who we would have starting, and both Chaney, Brian, Zach all had similar lineups. You can see here. Take a long look. I know there's a lot of information here. The only difference here, Brian Windhorst, you have Kawhi over Kevin Durant that Zach and Chaney had. So make your case. Why should it be Kawhi?
My case is, for the last 11 games, we have seen Kawhi Leonard basically at the top of his game. He is shooting the ball brilliantly. His legs have returned. He is, scoring inside, scoring outside, shooting the 3 ball very well. He is absolutely playing MVP level basketball. I know that Durant may have a better case for the entire season. The Clippers are playing awesome. They've won 8 in a row. And if more than anything else, I'm not arguing against Durant there because I think he's been terrific.
Sure.
But I am saying pay attention to the LA Clippers. Yeah. If you do not pay attention to the LA Clippers, it's a mistake. They obviously have got to stay healthy. But I will say this. Ty Lue decided at the start of this season they were tired of their protecting their star players. Yes, the player participation policy made a factor, but Kawhi was exempt from that because he had off-season surgery. They were having 2-a-days out in Hawaii in training camp. Kawhi has played every game, every back-to-back, and he has never looked healthier in a Clippers uniform. Yeah. And now James Harden has gotten into game shape, and James Harden is turning back the clock, and the Clippers are starting to be very, very impressive. Kawhi is leading it, and I just want to draw attention to it.
Well, he has been a cyborg of efficiency over the last 6 games, Kawhi Leonard has. There's one more thing I wanted to point out. All 3 of you guys have Luka and SGA representing the West in the backcourt. The name that isn't on any of your lists, if you look here, is Stephen Curry, who has never come off the bench in 8 All-Star games he's played. So is he just not deserving of starting this season, Zach?
You only get 2 spots, so who are you taking off? Right. If you're asking me to put Steph on, Steph's incredible. The Warriors are under 500. They're being outscored with him on the floor. That's not Steph's fault. It just is. And when you're picking between 3 guys this good, you got to split hairs somewhere. I would say make the case that it should be one of those other 2 coming off the bench. And given the records of their teams, I don't think you can.
How about Ant Edwards? Ant Edwards might be my pick to be the third guard, and it's not against Steph either.
Yeah, and I think what really helps the voting, especially at this point, quarter season, is the surprise effect. People are surprised that SGA is consistently doing this. I mean, people in OKC are not, but just to the national narrative, his consistency in dropping 30 and getting them to be a team that beats the teams that beat teams, to me is impressive. Then also Luka, I mean, dealing with a situation where they fizzled out of the last year not playing playoffs, whatever that was, and then now, I mean, without Kyrie, even as of late, averaging 32, 9, and 8.
Yep.
Only other players to do that, I said it before on this show, himself last year and Michael Jordan. And so,
love that?
I mean, he's like, so I think it's hard to, I think the surprises have worked in a good way for those players.
Right.
And for Steph, the surprises have been bad for the Golden State Warriors.
And you're 100% correct, but at the end of the day, we know that even with all those numbers, fan voting is still.
He's gonna get in.
Steph Curry is going to be a starter in the All-Star game at the end of the day. So who's not going to be? SGA, Luka, who's not going to be?
Well, I would say SGA has got the tallest mountain to climb, in the public sphere. But if you've watched the Thunder, and whether you want it or not, they're coming into your TV screen because they're going to be in big games soon. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been absolutely, unquestionably one of the best players in this league. He was first team All-NBA last year. He led the Canadians to a bronze medal, their first medal since like the 60s this year.
Over the U.S.
in the World Cup, and he is leading the Thunder to contention status. He is barging his way in there, whether the fans want to recognize it yet or not.
NBA